أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, and welcome to our class today. I hope and pray that you are all doing very well and keeping safe. Please make sure that your heads are covered and that you have done wudu before you entered the class today. Please also make sure that you are logged in today with your correct ID. Only IDs that are logged in correctly will be called to the mic and will be allowed to participate in today's class and with the recitation. So it's very important that your IDs are correct. Please also ensure that you are sitting in a nice and quiet place with no background noise, so we are all able to hear you properly and clearly when you are called to the mic. Jazakumullah. The agenda for today's class is on your screens in front of you now. And as you can see, we will start shortly with the opening dua. We will then go straight into our practice text. For today's class, we don't have a particular rule in focus that we're going to be looking at. So what we're going to be encouraging throughout the class today is for you to be mindful and careful of all the rules that you have learnt so far and during classes, and then apply them during your recitation. Okay, so that's going to be the rules that we're going to be looking at. Not one in particular, but all of the rules that we focused on previously, we're going to be asking you to apply them in your recitation. So the practice text for today's class, first of all, we're going to look at chapter number 80. So that's the surah that you were doing yesterday, covering with your teacher yesterday. And we're going to be carrying on and inshallah finishing that surah in today's class for the first bit. And then we're going to move on to another surah, chapter number 93 of the Holy Quran. And we're going to be, inshallah, completing that surah in today's class as well. So a lot of practice, inshallah, in today's class. So it's really important you're logged in with the correct ID so that you can be called onto the mic. We also have a quick announcement to make regarding the Jalsa tomorrow. So please stay tuned for that and be careful, be mindful to listen out for that. And then, of course, we'll end the class with our normal procedure of summarizing the lesson, assigning homework, and the end dua. So if you could please have our first student on the mic for our starting dua.
G2143, please unmute yourself.
Jazakumullah. G2143. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
How are you?
Fine, how are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm very well. Okay, so I'm going to be asking you to recite this this bit, the highlighted section for me.
Can I have a try by myself?
Okay, you can go have a go and then I'll correct you if there's anything needed. Okay, so Tawud and Tasmiyah first.
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم ارحمني.
Yeah. So it's this verse over here. So Allahumma inni.
Allahumma inni as'aluka ilman nafi'a.
Okay, excellent. Well done. But at the end over here, remember to elongate over here. So we're going to say nafi'a.
Nafi'a.
Excellent. Well done. And can you read the translation for me now?
Okay. Oh Allah, have mercy on me. Oh Allah, I ask you for beneficial knowledge.
Excellent.
Majah.
Yeah, hadith number 925. Excellent. Well done. Really nicely read. Jazakumullah for your participation. Okay. So like I said, in today's class, we don't have a particular rule that we're going to be focusing on or anything I have to show you. So what we're going to do is we're going to go straight into our practice text and we're going to start and carry on from where we left off yesterday. Okay, so this surah that you were doing yesterday was Suratul Abasa, okay, from the Holy Quran. and we are going to be continuing with that. And so you left off over here, so where my hand is, over here, you can see this was, you completed until verse number 34. So we're going to be carrying on from verse number 35 now. Okay, so like I said, we have to be careful of all the rules that we have learned previously. I'm going to be going through them with you, and we'll look at verse by verse, see what we have to be mindful of and careful of when we're reciting. So if we could have our first student on the mic, please.
G2190, please unmute yourself.
Jazakumullah. G2190. Assalamu alaikum. G2190, can you hear me?
G2165, please unmute yourself.
G2165. Okay.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Is that G2165?
Yes.
All right, perfect. How are you today?
Good.
Alhamdulillah, that's good to hear. Okay, so we're going to be, you've chosen to be the first student to start reciting today. So this is the surah that you were doing yesterday's class. And so we're going to be continuing on from where we left off, okay? So in this verse over here, of course, we have to be mindful of all the rules that we've learned previously. So remembering all our short strokes. So fatha, kasra, dhamma, wherever we see those, we have to take care to only produce a sound of 1 second. And then we have our long stroke. So we have vertical fatha, vertical kasra, inverted dhamma. Wherever we see those, we have to take care to spend 2 seconds on those. And then we also have our letters of mud. So we have alif mud, waw mud, ya mud. So we have to take care of those as well. So we have to spend 2 seconds on those as well. Okay. Now in this verse, especially this first one over here, I've highlighted this noon sakin over here. Okay. And that's because whenever we see a noon sakin, we have to always look at the next letter and see if it's a letter of the throat. Okay, so can you tell me, is this next letter alif, is that a letter of the throat?
Yes.
It is. Excellent. Well done. So what does that mean? What's my pronunciation going to be like for this noon?
You're not going to make a nasal sound?
Yeah, well done. It's going to be a clear sound, yes? So whenever the letter after noon sakin or tanween is a letter of the throat, then that noon sakin or tanween will produce a clear sound. Okay, so no extended nasal sound. Well done, excellent. So what we're going to do is we're going to start from here, and let's read Tawud and Tasmiyah first. Okay, so repeat after me. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
يوم يفر المرء من أخيه
يوم يفر المرء من أخيه.
Excellent, well done. Now over here, just one thing I'd like to point your attention to is over here, you see that this ra, it has a shadda on it, okay? So whenever you have a shadda on a letter, we have to join it to the previous letter with force, okay? So we're going to say firrul.
Firrul.
Excellent, well done. So that was just one thing that you have to be careful of over here. Let's move on to the next verse now. So over here, what I'd like you to be careful of especially is this mim mushaddad over here. Okay, now can you tell me how many seconds do I spend on this mim mushaddad?
2.
2 minutes, 2 seconds?
2 seconds.
2 seconds, yes, excellent, well done. So I spend 2 seconds on this meme sound, okay, on the nasal sound. And then of course it has a kasra underneath it, so I only spend 1 second on the kasra sound, okay? So I'm going to say ummi, like that, okay? So that's something we have to be careful of in this verse. So let's start. Wa ummihi وأبيه.
وأمه وأبيه.
Excellent. Well done, mashallah. That's really good. Okay. So one thing that everybody should notice, and I hope you can all hear that as well, that when we're ending the verse over here, we're ending with the h sound at the end. Okay. We're saying wa'abi, and then same we did before as well. Okay. Now let's move on to the next verse. Now over here, we have to be careful. This is an alif mud. So we have to stretch that sound out for how many seconds?
2 seconds.
Excellent. Well done. We also have a vertical kasra underneath the ha. So again, 2 seconds need to be spent over here. And again, at the end of this verse, we're ending with the h sound at the end, just like we did for the last 2 verses as well. Okay. So repeat after me. وَصَاحِبَتِهِ وَبَنِيهِ.
وصاحبته وبنيه.
Excellent. Well done. Now, just one thing over here. This is the letter saw. Okay. So a bit more rounded your mouth should be. Okay. وصاحبة.
وصابه. وصاحبته.
Okay, excellent. Well done. Really good. Okay, so that was just one of the sounds that I needed you to be careful of. Let's move on to the next verse now. In this verse, I've highlighted this bit over here. Okay, now can you tell me in this bit over here, what's the letter that I need to make the sound of?
E.
Okay, so is it the ya or is it the hamza?
Hamza.
Excellent. Well done. Now, the reason I've highlighted this is because sometimes it can be a bit confusing because you might be wondering, is it the sound of the ya that I need to make or is it the hamza? Because in this bit over here, there's 2 letters that are being shown. But we need to be careful in remembering that it's the sound of the hamza that needs to be made. And the analogy or the picture that we've drawn for you in this case is that it's like a person sitting on a chair. Yeah. So for example, right now I'm sitting on a chair and you can hear my voice, right? You can't hear my chair speaking or anything. It's the sound of me that you can hear. Just like that, the hamza is acting like the person and the ya is acting like the chair for the hamza to sit on. So it's the hamza sound that we're going to be making. Okay. And the hamza, you can see it has a kasratain underneath it. So that's something we need to be careful of, okay? Now, after this hamza, we have a mim mushaddad, okay? Now, just like we did before, can you tell me how many seconds do I spend on this mim mushaddad?
2 seconds.
Excellent. Well done. Now, when I want to join this mim mushaddad to this hamza, because there's a kasratain underneath the hamza, what we do is we only take 1 stroke of the kasratain, okay? So only 1 kasra, and we join it to the mim mushaddad. Okay, so this is going to be pronounced as immi, like that. Okay, and then after that, we also have a noon sakin. Okay, now whenever we see a noon sakin, I've explained this before that we have to look at the next letter to see if it's a letter of the throat. Can you tell me, is ha a letter of the throat?
Yes.
It is. Excellent. So what kind of sound am I to make? Is it clear or nasal?
Clear.
Excellent. Well done. So when I join this meme to this noon, I have to make a clear noon sound over here. Okay. So this will be im, like that. Okay. Now let's carry on. Over here, I've highlighted this. This is a kasratain underneath the letter the. Now, whenever we see kasratain, just like noon sakin, we also have to look at the next letter to see if it's a letter of the throat. Can you tell me, is sheen a letter of the throat?
No.
No, it's not. Excellent. Well done. So what kind of sound do I make over here then?
Zil.
Yeah, good. So it's a nasal sound, okay, which we have to kind of hold for 2 seconds and then carry on, okay? So like this, zil, like that, okay? And then the next thing I want you to be careful of, so quite a few things in this verse that we need to be careful of, but don't worry, we'll take it bit by bit. And then over here, we can see that we have a ya mushaddad. Okay, now this is highlighting the rule that you focused on yesterday. Okay, the rule was that whenever you have tanween followed by ya mushaddad, we join the two letters with a nasal sound, holding it for 2 seconds. Okay, so whenever we join these two together, I'm going to say nuyu, like that, and then join the line afterwards. Okay, so 2 second nasal sound between this and this, the noon and the ya mushaddad. Okay, so that's the rules that we have to be careful of as we are reciting. Okay, so I'm going to say this verse. I'm going to go nice and slowly for you, and then I'd like you to follow along with me. لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مِّنْهُمْ يَوْمَئِذٍ شَأْنٌ يُغْنِيهِ.
لكل امرئ منهم يومئذ شأن يغنيه.
Excellent. Well done, mashallah. Really, really good try. It was a long verse, but mashallah, you read really nicely, okay? Just one thing that I want you to be careful of over here. You see this alif with the sukoon? Yeah? Can you see
Yes.
this? Yeah, alif with the sukoon means we have to produce a slight jerk sound when we join the sheen to the hamza, to the alif sakin. Okay, so we're going to say sha.
شأن.
Good, well done. Not an ayn sound, but just a soft jerk. Okay, sha.
شأ.
Good, well done. And then over here, this is going to be nuyur.
نير.
Okay, one more time. Nuyur.
نير.
Yeah, good. It takes practice, but it's a slight nasal sound between the noon and the ya. Okay, well done. Excellent, mashallah. Really nicely read. Really happy with the way you're reading, mashallah. Just keep practicing, okay?
Jazakallah.
Jazakumullah, Allah Hafiz. If you could have another student on the mic, please.
G2153, please unmute yourself. 2153.
G2153. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
How are you today?
I'm okay.
Alhamdulillah, that's good to hear. Okay, so I'm going to be asking you to read the next couple of verses. So we're starting from the next verse over here. And like I said, we have to be mindful of and careful of all the rules we've learned previously. So the first thing I want to highlight in this verse over here is this ya mushaddad over here. Okay, now just like we did in the previous verse, whenever we see ya mushaddad and the letter before has a tanween, what you have to do is you have to join the two letters together with a nasal sound, which we have to hold for 2 seconds in between. Okay, so that's how we're going to read that. After that, we also have a mim mushaddad over here. Okay, mim mushaddad, can you tell me how many seconds should I spend on that?
2 seconds.
Excellent, well done. 2 second nasal sound that we have to hold. Well done. So that's something that we need to be careful of in this verse. So can you read Ta'awudh and Tasmiyah for me first, and then I'll continue?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Good, well done. وجوه يومئذ مسفرة.
وجوه يومئذ مسفرة.
Excellent, well done. So we're ending with the sound of h. Firah.
فرة.
Excellent, well done. Really nicely read. So you did the nasal sound in between that really well, and you held the meme sound for 2 seconds, which was really good. One thing over here, can you tell me how long should I spend because of this waw mud?
2 seconds.
2 seconds. Well done. So you did spend a bit longer than 1 second, but not exactly 2 seconds. Okay, so stretch it a bit longer. Wujuhun yaw.
wujuhun
Perfect. That was perfect. Well done. Excellent. Let's carry on to the next verse. Now, in this verse, again, we have an instance of mim mushaddad. So again, how many seconds do I spend on that?
2 seconds.
2 seconds. Well done. Now, can you tell me why is this ba special? Why have I highlighted this? What rule do I have to apply over here? Can you remember?
Is it a Kalkala letter?
Excellent. It is. It is one of the Kalkala letters. So we have to sound and make a bouncing sound when we join it to the ta. Tab, like that. Okay, so that's something we have to be careful of as well. So let's start from here. ضاحكة مستبشرة.
ضاحكة مستبشرة.
Good, well done. Over here, hold the meme sound a bit longer and make more of a bouncing sound on the ba. Okay, so let's try again. So just from here, tum mustabshirah.
mustabshirah.
Excellent, good, well done, really nicely read. Let's carry on. Now over here, next verse, we have a ya mushaddad once again. Letter before has a tanween on top. So how do I pronounce this? Can you tell me?
You make a nasal sound.
Yes, nasal sound in between the two letters. And how long do I hold that for?
2 seconds.
Excellent, good, well done. Now over here, I've highlighted this because there's a kasratain underneath that. And whenever we have a tanween on a letter, we have to look at the next letter to see if it's a letter of the throat. So can you tell me, is ayn a letter of the throat?
Yes.
It is, yes, well done. So ayn is a letter of the throat. So what does that mean? What does my pronunciation have to be like over here?
Zin.
Excellent, good. So what you did there was a clear pronunciation of the tanween. Okay, zin. So you didn't elongate the nasal sound. Well done, excellent. So let's start from here. وَوُجُوهٌ يَوْمَئِذٍ عَلَيْهَا غَبَرَةٌ.
ووجوه يومئذ عليها غبرة.
Excellent. Well done. Really nicely read. Over here with the ya mushaddad and the tanween before that, try and hold that nasal sound a bit longer. Huiyaw. Perfect. Well done. Let's carry on. In this verse, there's nothing really for me to point out, so we're going to carry on. We're going to say ترهقها قترة.
ترهقها قترة.
Excellent, well done. And the last verse over here, we have a sign over here that you've started learning this this week. Can you remember what the name of this sign is?
مد كبير.
Excellent, well done. So this is the mad kabir, okay, because it's a thick line rounded like this. So can you tell me how long do I spend on this?
4 to 6 seconds.
Excellent. Well done, mashallah. Really proud with the way you're answering the questions. So we have to elongate for 4 to 6 seconds. So let's start with this verse over here. Nice and deep breath. أولئك هم الكفرة الفجرة.
أولئك هم الكفرة الفجرة. فجر.
Excellent. I think you just missed the ra perhaps over here. So kafaratul fajrah.
كفرت الفجر.
Excellent. Well done, mashallah. You've read so nicely, and everything that I've told you to perhaps correct, you corrected really, really nicely. Well done. Really happy with the way you've read today. Jazakumullah. Allah Hafiz.
جزاك الله. الله حافظ.
So that was the end of this surah, Suratul Abasa. So Alhamdulillah, we managed to get through this verse and complete it. And mashallah, everybody that's read this verse, read this surah, read really, really nicely and took on board all the feedback that was given to you. So Jazakumullah for that. So what we're going to do now is we will now move on to another surah that we'll be practicing today, and that is Suratul Duha. And this surah is found in part number 30 of the Holy Quran, so the final part of the Holy Quran, and the chapter number is 93. Okay, and this has a total of 12 verses. It has one ruku, and it was revealed to the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the holy city of Mecca. Okay, so those are just a few facts for you about this surah. Okay, Surah Duha. And the same format we're going to follow as we did with the previous surah. We're going to have students on the mic, and I'm just going to go through some things we need to be careful of in each of the verses, and then I'm going to ask you to recite after me as we read it. Okay, so if you could have another student on the mic.
G2159, please unmute yourself.
Jazakumullah. G2159. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalam.
How are you today?
I'm good, Jazakallah. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm very well. Jazakumullah for asking. So this is the new surah that we're going to be covering in this part of the class. So let's start with Dawood and Tasmiyah. Okay, so repeat after me. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Good, well done. Just remember with Dawood, when you start it off, we have to say a'udhu. So not auzu, so it's separate. Okay, a is separate and the ayn is separate. A'udhu. Can you say that for me?
أعوذ.
Excellent, well done. So make sure everybody at home as well listening that when you read Dawood, you have to start with like that instead of saying auzu. Okay, that's the wrong way of saying it. So Jazakumullah, and let's carry on. So in this verse, first verse over here, there's nothing really to point out. It's all the basic rules that we've already learned and had a look at previously. Okay, so I'm going to start from here, and I'd like you to follow after me. Wadduha.
والضحى.
Excellent, well done. Next verse over here, again, really simple, basic rules being applied over here. So remembering our short strokes, we can see we have a kasra here, kasra here. This, can you tell me what this is?
A blank alif.
It is a blank alif, but it's a special kind of blank alif. Can you tell me the name of it?
I forgot.
Okay, no problem. This is alif mad. Okay, so alif mad is when you have a blank alif, just like you said, but the letter before it has a fatha. Okay, that makes this an alif mad. So can you tell me what's special about this and how long do I have to spend on this?
It's special because you have to prolong it and you spend about 2 to 3 seconds on it.
Okay, just 2 seconds. Okay, so no longer than that. 2 seconds is enough. So yes, you're right. This is special because you have to prolong it and you have to prolong it for 2 seconds. Okay, so let's start with this verse. وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى.
وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى.
Excellent, well done. Now this letter over here, we have to pronounce it as the. So either.
Either.
Yeah. So you take the tip of your tongue and you have to touch it to your top teeth. Either.
Either.
Excellent. Much better. Well done. Let's carry on. In the next verse as well, we have an alif mad over here. So 2-second elongation. We have our short strokes. So 1 second for each of those. So that's what we have to be careful of. Okay. Ma wadda'aka rabbuka wa ma qala.
ما ودعك ربك وما قلى.
Excellent. Well done. Really nicely read. But make sure you're sounding your letters correctly, okay? So we can know that this is an ayn, okay? So not like an alif, like an ayn. So wadda'aka.
ودعك.
Excellent. And this is a simple ka, okay? Not a ha. Ma wadda'aka.
ما ودعك.
Excellent. Well done. And then over here, this again is a thick and heavy sounding letter. So this is going to be qala.
قلى.
Excellent. Well done. Just bear with me for 1 second. Okay. So that's something that we need to be careful of. Okay. So it's really important that we're sounding our letters out correctly. Okay. Let's carry on to the next verse. Now, this verse over here, what I'd like to be careful of over here is this ra. You can see it has a kasratain on top of it. Okay. And because it has a kasratain on top of it, we have to look at the next letter, see what it is. We have a lam mushaddad. Okay. Now, whenever we have a tanween followed by a lam mushaddad, we have to join the two letters with no nasal sound in between. Okay. So this is going to be pronounced as rulla. Okay. So what we did is we took one of the letters, one of the tanween strokes and joined it to the lam mushaddad. Okay, with no nasal sound in between. So this is one of the rules that we have been learning previously as part of the noon sakin and tanween rules. Okay, so that's something we need to be careful of over here as well. So let's go through this verse. We're going to say, وَلَلْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ لَكَ مِنَ الْأُولَى.
وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى.
Excellent. Well done. Really nicely read, mashallah. Good flow as well to your recitation, which is really good to hear. And then the next verse over here, again, we have to remember all our short strokes. We have to remember our long strokes. Letters of mud, we have to be careful of as well. Over here, we have ya mud because it's a ya sakin. Letter before has a kasra. So we have to stretch for 2 seconds over here. Okay, so let's start. وَلَسَوْفَ يُعْطِيكَ رَبُّكَ فَتَرْضَى.
ولسوف يؤتيك ربك فترضى.
Excellent. Well done, mashallah. Over here, remember what I said before as well. This is the letter Ain. Okay, so we have to show some sort of difference between an alif and the letter pronunciation of an Ain. So we're going to say over here, Yu'.
يُعْ.
Excellent. Well done. And this is a thick and heavy sounding letter. So we're going to say Tuika.
Tuika.
Okay, but try not to make that W sound between the sound of the letter, okay? Tuika.
Tuika.
Much better. Well done. Excellent. Well done. Really good participation. You read really nicely with a really good flow. The only thing I need you to take care of is the sound of your letters. Okay, so perhaps just go through your letters, make sure you're sounding each one of them correctly. So your thin sounding letters in a thin sound, and then your thick sounding letters with a thick and heavy sound. Okay?
Okay.
Perfect. Well done. Jazakumullah. Allah Hafiz.
Jazakallah.
Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're just going to take a small break and we're going to make a quick announcement. As you all know, in tomorrow's class, we will be having an online Jalsa Yom-e Muslimaud. Okay, so it's taking place tomorrow, and the time is just like normal classes, 6 to 7 p.m. inshallah. And instead of like a normal class like we're having today, we're going to have a Jalsa. So very exciting, inshallah. And the G2 approach for our classes and for our events is to encourage learning in a fun and interesting way. So what we're going to do tomorrow is we're going to have a quiz in class tomorrow. And inshallah, the aim is to make that quiz as interactive as possible for all the students. So it's as enjoyable as possible for all of you. So what we have asked you to do is to come prepared for that quiz. So there's a total of 15 questions in that quiz, and we have asked you to have a look at those questions and come prepared with the answers to those questions as well. Okay, so all your parents have been sent the questions in advance on the parents WhatsApp group. So you should all have access to those questions. So please have a look at those questions and look up the answers for those questions. Okay, the answers to those questions in the quiz tomorrow can be found in the book Basics of Religious Education. Okay, and the link for it, as you can see at the bottom over here, has all been shared with your parents on the WhatsApp group in the PDF that was sent. So you can get access to this book and you can look up the answers and find the answers in that book. Okay, so the younger children, so ages of 7 or 8, you can all write down those answers on a piece of paper and you can refer to them, look at those answers during the quiz and try to answer the questions on the quiz. But older children, we encourage you to try and remember the answers rather than noting them down and having a look at those notes, okay? And that's to encourage you all to improve and increase your knowledge of the answers as well. Okay, of course you can refer to them if you're really struggling, but try to remember them off by heart, okay? And now I know a lot of students, mashallah, have been sending in their applications to be part of the Jalsa tomorrow by doing tilawat or translation or reading hadith or the prophecy or reading nazm and speech. So jazakumullah to everybody who has sent in their application. We really appreciate it, and we've been having a listen to them, and it's really nice to hear everybody taking part. So jazakumullah for that. Some students have been chosen for each of the categories that was sent out, and inshallah our team in charge will be getting in touch with parents this evening to let you know that you have been selected for the either tilawat, translation, hadith, prophecy, nazm, or speech. So please keep refreshing your emails, look out for that email or a message from our team in charge, and she will let you know if your child has been chosen for the Jalsa participation tomorrow. Okay, so once again, Jalsa Yom-e Muslimaud tomorrow at 6 p.m. as usual. So I hope to all see you there tomorrow, inshallah. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go back to our recitation and back to our surah, and let's have another student on the mic.
G2173, please unmute yourself.
Assalamu alaikum, G2173. Assalamu alaikum, G2173, can you hear me? Okay, shall we move on to another student if they are not unmuting?
G2177, please unmute yourself.
Assalamu alaikum, G2177. Please, if I could request all students to make sure that they're sitting at their devices, ready to unmute when you hear your ID call to the mic so that we don't waste any time.
G2184, please unmute yourself.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Is that G2184?
जी
All right, perfect. How are you today?
मैं ठीक हूँ और कैसी है?
Alhamdulillah, I'm very well. Jazakumullah for asking. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to read the next couple of verses in the surah. So we're starting from here. And if you could read Ta'awudh and Tasmiyah for me first.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Excellent, well done. So in this verse over here, I've highlighted a few places where I'd like you to pay close attention to. Over here,
Okay.
can you tell me what rule I have to apply over here?
A shada.
Okay,
No, shada.
okay, let me help you. So over here, we have a dal with the sukoon on top. So a dal is one of the qalqala letters. Yeah, do you remember?
Okay. Yes.
Excellent. So what does that mean? What's the sound that I have to make over here?
Jid.
Good, well done. So what you've done there is you made a bouncing sound of the dal. Okay, so you've joined the jim to the dal with a bouncing sound. So you've done really well. Jazakumullah for that. And the other thing I wanted to point out over here, we have a meme with a tanween on top. Okay, whenever we see a tanween, what we have to do is we have to look at the next letter. Okay, could you just make sure that you're sitting in a nice and quiet place? Because I can't.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, that's better. Okay, there's a lot of noise beforehand, so I couldn't hear myself.
Oh, that's my dad.
No problem, that's fine. So what we're going to do over here, whenever we see a tanween, we have to look at the next letter and see if it's a letter of the throat. Okay, so after this meme tanween, meme with the tanween on top, we have the letter fa. So can you tell me, is this letter a letter of the throat?
No.
No, it's not. Well done. So if it's not a letter of the throat, then what we have to do is we have to make a nasal sound, which we have to make extend for 2 seconds. Okay. So over here, this is going to be ma, like that. Okay. So that's something you have to be careful of over here as well. So let's read this verse. You read Ta'awudh and Tasmiyah. So let's carry on. We're going to say, Alam yajidka yatiman fa'awa.
Alam yajidka yatiman fa'awa.
Good, well done. Really, really good attempt. Now over here, I want you to make a bit more of a bouncing sound for the dal. Okay, jid.
Okay. Jid.
Okay, good, well done. Over here, remember, this is a ya mud. So we have to elongate this for 2 seconds, okay, before we carry on. And then over here, try and make that partial nasal sound for 2 seconds. Ma fa'awa.
Ma fa'awa.
Excellent, perfect. So let's try this verse one more time. Can you try that again for me?
Alam yajidka yatiman fa'awa.
Excellent, mashallah. Well done. Really, really good. Okay, so you took on board everything I'd said and you corrected it, which is really, really good. Let's carry on. In this verse over here, we have this section over here. Okay, now on top of this letter dua, we have this sign over here. Can you remember what this sign is called?
Not really.
Okay, that's fine. But do you remember how many seconds I have to spend on this?
3 to 5 seconds.
Okay, slightly longer. This is Madul Kabir. Okay, so this is Madul Kabir. So this is the even longer version of Mad. So we have to spend 4 to 6 seconds on this. Okay, Madul Saghir is what we have to spend 3 to 5 seconds on. But this is the thick and heavy line. So this is Madul Kabir. So 4 to 6 seconds on this. So what we have to do is we have to stretch the sound out of da for at least 4 seconds. Okay, stretch that. And then what we have to do is we have to join it to this lam because it's a lam mushaddad. So we have to join the lam mushaddad at the end.
Okay.
We have to be careful of that. And then the third thing we have to be careful of is the tanween. Okay, now like I said, whenever we see tanween, we have to look at the next letter to see what kind of sound we have to make of the tanween.
Okay.
So the next letter again over here is fa. So you just told me before that fa is not one of the letters of the throat, which was the correct answer. So because it's not one of the letters of the throat, we have to produce a nasal sound as we end the tanween over here. Okay, so it'll make more sense when I read it out. But that's just an explanation of why we're making those sounds. Okay, so
Okay.
let's start from here. وَوَجَدَكَ ضَالًّا فَهَدَى.
وَوَجَدَكَ ضَالًّا فَهَدَى.
Okay, good attempt. Okay, now over here, like I said, this one is a bit more difficult. So just listen out to how I pronounce this. Da.
ضَالًّا.
Okay, now I have to end with the tanween sound, okay? So
Okay.
just listen to me. Let me finish it and then you can say it after me, okay? Da.
ضَالًّا.
Okay, at the end you're going to say long.
No.
Good, well done. So one more time. Da.
Down.
Excellent. Good. Well done. So difficult sounds to make, but mashallah, you're doing really, really well to give it a go. Okay. Excellent. Well done. So this is just one bit of this verse that's slightly more difficult, but with practice, inshallah, you will all get it. So let's carry on to the next verse. Now over here, we can see, again, we have a Madul Kabir over here, just like we did in the previous verse. So we have to spend at least 4 seconds on this. Okay. The next thing over here, we have a tanween on top of the lam. Whenever we see tanween, we have to look at the next letter to see if it's a letter of the throat. The letter after is a fa. So is fa a letter of the throat?
No.
No. So again, a nasal sound has to be made, which we have to hold for 2 seconds on this tanween. Okay, so let's try this verse now. We're going to say, وَوَجَدَكَ
وَوَجَدَ.
Okay, just listen to me first and then you can let me finish this verse and then you can follow after me, okay? So we're going to say وَوَجَدَكَ عَائِلًا فَأَغْنَى.
وَوَجَدَكَ عَائِلًا فَأَغْنَى.
Good, excellent, well done, really, really good attempt. Over here, remember, this dal and this kaf simply have a fatha on both of them. So we have to
Okay.
only spend 1 second on them. Okay, daka,
Okay. Daka.
wawajadaka.
وَوَجَدَكَ.
Excellent, good, well done, mashallah. Really, really good, really nicely read. And just keep practicing, okay?
Okay.
Excellent. Well done. Jazakumullah for your participation. Allah Hafiz. If you could have
Hafiz.
another student on the mic, please.
G2212, please unmute yourself.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. G2212.
G2240, please unmute yourself.
Assalamu alaikum. Sorry, what was the ID?
2240.
G2240. Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me? Okay, let's carry on.
G2240.
Wa alaikum assalam. What's your ID?
G2240.
40. Okay, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm very well. Jazakumullah for asking. So we're going to carry on and we're going to finish this surah today. So where did we left off? Okay, so we're starting from here. Okay, so if you could read Tawud and Tasmiyah for me and we'll carry on.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
Excellent, well done.
فأما
Okay.
اليتيم
If you just-
فلا
Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm going to read it first for you, okay? And then I'm going to ask
Okay.
you to repeat after me. But well done. I know you're keen to read. So we're going to start from here. And the things I want you to be careful of in this verse, first of all, we have a mim mushaddad over here, okay? Now, this mim mushaddad, can you tell me how many seconds I need to spend on this?
1,
1 second?
2.
2 seconds. Yes, well done. So we need to spend 2 seconds. Whenever we see a mim mushaddad or a noon mushaddad, we have to make a ghunna sound. Okay, now that ghunna sound has to be kept in our nose for 2 seconds. So that's something we have to be careful of. And then over here, this qaf with a sakin, with a sukoon on top. Can you tell me what rule I have to apply over here? Qalqala, excellent, well done. So qaf is one of the qalqala letters, so we have to make a bouncing sound over here. Taqul, excellent, well done. So let's start from here. We're going to say فَأَمَّا الْيَتِيمَ فَلَا تَقْهَرْ.
فأما اليتيم فلا تقهر
Excellent, well done. Slightly longer on the mim gunna sound over here. فَأَمَّا
فأما
Excellent, well done. So, and you must have noticed over here as well that we didn't pronounce this or this, and we straight away joined the meme to this lam sakin. So that's something we had to be careful of as well. Let's carry on to the next verse. Now over here, the meme mushaddad again is coming up. So just like we did before, meme mushaddad produces a sound of 2 seconds. And after that, meme mushaddad, we have a scene with a shadda on top, okay? And we have this sign over here. Can you remember what this sign is called? We've mentioned it before.
Maddul Kabir.
Maddul Kabir, yes, excellent, well done. So Maddul Kabir is there. So how many seconds do I have to spend on that?
5 or 4 to 6.
4 to 6 seconds, yes, well done. So what we have to do here is we have to take care of a few things. Over here, we join the alif to the mim mushaddad, taking care to produce a 2-second ghunna sound. Then we join this onto the scene, okay, scene mushaddad, and then we have to stretch that sa sound out for at least 4 seconds, 4 to 6 seconds, okay? And that's something we have to be careful of. And then at the end of this verse, we can see we have a noon sakin. When we have this noon sakin, we always have to look at the next letter to see if it's a letter of the throat. Okay, so can you tell me, is ha a letter of the throat?
No.
Okay, have a think. Are you sure? Is
No.
it okay, so ha is actually one of the letters of the throat. Okay, so there's quite a few. Yeah, go on.
Isn't the ha with like the Jim ha?
No, not that one is also, but this one is as well. Okay, both of them are letters of the throat. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, so this one is also a letter of the throat. So that means that when we have this noon sakin, we have to produce a clear sound. So we have to say tan like that, and no prolonged nasal sound is made. So that's just something we have to be careful of. So let's read this verse. وَأَمَّا السَّائِلَ السائل فلا تنهر.
وأما السائل فلا تنهر.
Excellent. Well done. Really, really nicely read. Just one thing over here. Remember, this lam simply has a fatha. So we're not to stretch that longer for than 1 second. So it's going to simply be ila. Okay.
إلى
Okay. Remember, don't stretch it. So we're saying ila fala tanhar.
إلى فلا تنهر.
Okay. One more time. Ila fala tanhar.
إلى فلا تنهر.
Okay, good. Well done. But just be careful. You're still stretching for a slightly longer than a second. So be careful over here. Okay, but well done. Excellent. So let's quickly go on to the last verse over here. Now, in this final verse, one thing I'd like you to be careful of over here, we have a mim mushaddad once again. So 2 seconds need to be spent over here. وَأَمَّا بِنِعْمَةِ رَبِّكَ فَحَدِّثْ.
وأما بنعمة ربك فحدث.
Excellent. Good. Well done. But remember that whenever you have short strokes, so by short strokes, I mean fatha, kasra, or dhamma, we're only spending 1 second on them. Okay. So both this kasra and this fatha on top of the letters need to be spent only 1 second on. Okay. So no longer than that. Be careful. It's really, really easy to stretch it for more than 1 second. So we have to be careful. So one more time. وَأَمَّا
وأما
بنعمة
بنعمة
ربك فحدث.
ربك فحدث.
Excellent. Well done. Really nicely read. So if it's difficult and you're making mistakes by reading all in one go, split the verse into smaller chunks, and then you can read it like that. And then with practice, you can try and say it all in one go. Okay. But well done, mashallah. Really, really nicely read. Jazakumullah for your participation. Allah Hafiz. So that was alhamdulillah, we managed to complete this surah. So well done to everybody that's read. And we in today's class we were being careful of all the rules that we've learned previously, and we've been applying them. So it's really, really good to hear everybody making notes of all the rules that we've been applying, and then applying them as well in the recitation. Homework for today's class is to practice Suratul Abasa, and to practice Surat Ad-Duha. So Surat Abasa we did from verse 35 to 43, so till the end of the verse, end of the surah, sorry. And then Surat Ad-Duha we completed the whole surah as well, so verse 1 to 12. Okay, so please go back and revisit both of these surahs and recite them, and keeping in mind all the rules that we have learned so far and you've been taught so far, and pay close attention to the timing of your strokes. So short strokes, give them 1 second, long strokes, give them 2 seconds or more according to the strokes that are on the letters. Okay. So that's the homework. Please make sure that you do it. And we have time for our dua at the end. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to recite it by myself, and I'd like you all to recite along with me. Okay, so please recite after me. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم ارحمني بالقرآن العظيم. And the translation is, O Allah, have mercy on me through the Quran the Great. So Jazakumullah to everybody for joining us in today's class. And as was mentioned in the announcement, tomorrow is Jalsa Yawm Muslim Aud in class tomorrow. So please have a look at the questions for the quiz tomorrow. And inshallah, we'll see you all again, same time tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.